Today I just want to do a quick chart analysis on Harmony 1 for you guys today. Hit that like and subscribe on the way in for me if you could. I really appreciate the support, and it helps get this content out to other viewers so we can help grow the Harmony community. Let me also apologize in advance that my sound quality is terrible and there may be some lagging. I promise I am upgrading my computer and going to be getting set up with a microphone as soon as possible, so I appreciate you guys bearing with me. But let's jump into it. So obviously you guys know we had a nice little pump already, and basically what I'm seeing is we had this downward trend line that we established after just barely hitting a new all-time high. And once we broke through that trend line, we back tested it, and I think a lot of short-term traders noticed that and piled in. So our volume is actually up from about 80 million as of yesterday, 24-hour volume, up from about 80 million to over 200 million. So anytime we have a nice volume increase like that, whichever direction our trend is moving, you can feel pretty confident that that trend is pretty strong. So this pump, I think we have reason to believe this upward trend that we have going on right now could continue all the way up to at least around 0.18, what is it, 0.18398. So once we get to that level, I think we should expect to see some resistance. Not only do we have macro resistance all the way back from March when we set our previous all-time high, we failed to turn this level into any kind of support. It was strong resistance, and then we continued to bleed after setting that new all-time high in March until about May 19th. We're actually looking really strong until Bitcoin crashed and ruined things for us. So in May 19th, we were testing this 0.18487 cent level again, and this level is also confluent with the Fibonacci 618 level, I believe. Yeah, so you can see it's confluent with this Fibonacci 618 level right here. So I expect this to be giving us some trouble. So don't expect us to punch through it right away. I think, we might see something like this where we come up, touch it, maybe even wick above it for a second, and then we might have to come back down and retest this level of about just under 12 cents. And we obviously want to see another bounce off that and another push up to here where we finally punch through it and flip it into support. And we might continue to wick above it, set a higher low, come up again, get rejected, set another higher low, and it might take a while. So I'm not expecting us to punch through this right away, but eventually we want to see that we flip it into support, which we've just been trying to do ever since March of earlier this year. And this would actually be a pretty realistic and bullish pattern that I just kind of made off the top of my head. This kind of a reverse head and shoulders pattern that would actually be really bullish if we could see something like that develop on this 0.18398 cent price level. So hopefully we see something like this, and then we see a break above it and a back test to confirm that we're flipping it into support. But don't be surprised, if, like I said, we get rejected and we come all the way back down to this level of 0.11792 approximately. And then things with Bitcoin, we're kind of in a precarious situation. We're about to run into some pretty big resistance with Bitcoin as well, with Bitcoin approaching its own 618 Fibonacci level. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin threw some problems our way and we actually fell through this level. So I'm actually setting limit orders all the way down to what is this, about 0.09829 cents, and then as low as 0.07776 approximately. because I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin were to throw some more downside our way, some more volatility, basically. So I'm looking to set limit orders on these three levels: 0.11703, 0.09739, 0.07776, with my largest purchases being down here, second largest here, and then a smaller buy right here. So I can get a nice dollar cost average and take advantage of that potential dip if we see more downside. So let's take a quick look at Bitcoin, and I'll show you what I was talking about with potentially just being prepared for some more downside or ranging. I think that we're not out of the woods yet with Bitcoin, because the volume is looking kind of pitiful, and the RSI also is not where it needs to be on the daily time frame. It's showing weakness there as well, but we are getting close to the point where we could flip that into, some decent momentum. But the next level I'm looking for resistance with Bitcoin is right here at around 47,600 approximately. I want to see how it interacts with this level all the way up to 49,800. If we, obviously, best case scenario, we want to punch through this nicely and flip this 49,500 into support. However, I am a little pessimistic. I don't think we're going to be able to do it right now. I think we have more ranging in store, actually, and I'll show you why. So, obviously, for one, we can just talk about the volume. If we zoom out a little bit, so obviously you can see leading up to our massive bull run, we had the volume getting larger and larger. You see these green bars getting larger and larger, and the volume actually started falling off right here, which was an early indicator to me that Bitcoin was in trouble. Not to mention, this was right before the pi cycle top signal, so I was actually lucky enough to get out of Bitcoin before the huge crash. But since then, we just haven't seen very good volume. We saw, decent volume and accumulation through this range, but our volume is, steeply falling off, and I think we're most likely bound to see more ranging and, sideways or, downside movement in the short term. Not that the bull run is ending, though. I think that this is going to be an extended bull run and that a lot of people are going to get faked out. But like I said, in the short term, I'm not entirely convinced we're bullish yet, and I won't be until we get above this 50 level on the RSI. We've kind of flipped it into resistance right here. We wicked above the 50 and got rejected, and I think what we're likely to see is another rejection. And as you can see, we've been putting in lower highs, lower lows on the RSI on the daily. So until we break this trend and we start setting, we set a higher high and a higher low, and we stay above the 50 level on the daily for the RSI, I'm not going to be very confident in this uptrend. Like I said, longer term, I think we are still in the bull run. I think this is a disbelief rally in the early stages of market psychology. But if we look back, you can just see whenever we're down here, we're not very bullish. But like, for instance, we were getting rejected here, and then finally we broke above this 50 level and stayed above it for a long time. And that was the beginning of this massive run up to 65,000. But then we saw, these telltale signs of bearish divergence. So we got kind of like a head and shoulders here, a shoulder, head, shoulder, as well as a bearish divergence, telling the story of, us losing momentum and showing weakness, as well as, these wicks below the 50 line were kind of warnings that we don't have very good strength or momentum. And then, this was a real good sign that we were gaining strength. You see kind of like a reverse and inverted head and shoulders pattern right here. This being like the shoulder, head, shoulder. Right here below my cursor, it keeps popping something up in the way, but basically right here, shoulder, head, shoulder is kind of how I look at this. And then it was confirmed when we broke above this level. But now since we're breaking down below the 50 again and it's looking like resistance, I think we have more downside ahead of us. So I'm looking to set limit orders and accumulate. I think any Bitcoin you can get between the range of 38,000 and 30,000 over the next few months is going to be a steal and really put you in a strong position as we continue this bull run. Once we start a new uptrend and the herd realizes they've been faked out and everyone piles back in, any Bitcoin you can pick up between 30,000 and 38,000 is going to be a steal, as well as any altcoins you can buy. The closer Bitcoin gets down to 30,000 is also going to be a steal, and you're going to be in massive profit. So please don't consider any of this financial advice. These are just my opinions. Do your own research, but I hope this helps. I hope it gives you guys some insight and keeps you guys level-headed. But I appreciate you guys stopping in. I will see you next time.